Hello, welcome to another episode of Buddha Talks Hoops. It's been a while. We had the NCAA tournament. I picked Houston. That didn't work out. But we're done with college hoops now. We're talking NBA, and I'm happy to find some time to chat about what's been going on the last week because it has been a beautiful appetizer to the NBA postseason with this most recent week of play-in basketball, and I have my gripes with the play-in tournament. I don't think it's the best solution to some issues the NBA season has, but when it gives you some entertaining games like we just had, I can't really argue too much with it. I've watched all of them. I'm here to talk about them. I'm here to preview the last two play-in games that we have tonight, and then also the slate of first round games that we have this weekend. I'm excited. This is, in my opinion, the best few months of sports, April, May, and then as we wind down into the NBA Finals. Can't wait to talk about it. So without further ado, let's get into it. So today, had to go with some Charlotte Hornets gear. This is the Nike warm-up shirt, and I will say I also have some issues with what Nike's done to some uniforms these last few years, but they've come through with some pretty good on-court merchandise that I think has been some pretty quality stuff, whether you want to play hoops in it or just chill in it. I do like the Nike warm-up shirts. This is the Charlotte one with the Jordan logo. And obviously you had to rock it today because we're starting with the Charlotte Hornets, who have a game tonight. But before we do that, I just want to talk a little bit about their first playing game against Miami. A fun game. It was entertaining through and through, went to overtime, and it was one of those games where I really felt like either team deserved to win and deserved to lose. Both teams made great plays. Both teams made head-scratching plays. It was thoroughly entertaining, though. And for Charlotte, they somehow overcome 2 for 16 three-point shooting from LaMelo Ball, 0 for 6 three-point shooting from Con Knipple, but they get huge shot making from Brandon Miller down the stretch. He ends up with 23 points, 5 for 10 from 3. Miles Bridges was just really great throughout the game on both ends. I think he was actually one of their stronger defensive players as well in this game. And he ends up with 28 points, plays 43 minutes with the overtime. Kobe White, obviously, with the hero shot in the corner. They get Kobe White, and listen, do they win this game with Colin Sexton? I mean, maybe. Probably not, though, with the way Kobe White played. And he played so well that he actually even forced Con Knipple to the bench down the stretch. Kobe White, including the hero shot, but he went on an absolute heater in the fourth and ended up with 19 points. Miami, they hung in there. They hung in there, and they got a great game from Davion Mitchell. Tyler Hero started slow, but ended up making some pretty big plays to force this thing into overtime. Andrew Wiggins had a great game, and if Miami won, then I think we'd be singing the Andrew Wiggins praises again as a guy just with an interesting career, but has shown that he is a winning basketball player, and he showed it in 2022 when he won the title with Golden State. Obviously, also should mention Kel'el Ware from Miami because it kind of segues into what I'm talking regarding Bam Adebayo, but Kel'el Ware, he had his moments where he struggled a little bit defensively, and he looked good given the up and down season he's had. He ended up with a big stat night, 12 points, 19 rebounds, and then he also had a handful of blocks, 5 blocks. Yeah, so he was a presence. But we obviously can't talk about it without mentioning what happened with the LaMelo Ball, Bam Adebayo situation. Listen, I tend to be more pro LaMelo Ball than most. I just appreciate his unique play style, even though it can be frustrating at times. But can't defend what he did in that situation. It was a clear, dirty play. It was a leg pull. Bam Adebayo falling right on his tailbone, could barely walk afterwards, sent him out the rest of the game. Should that be a flagrant 2? Probably. Probably. It was, I don't know what the exact criteria is, whatever they like to call it. Unnecessary and potential for injury, whatever. Clearly potential for injury. Literally sent him out of the game. And it wasn't a basketball play. Sure, he said he didn't really know where he was and blah, blah, blah. I don't know. I think Eric Spoelstra put it well. It was a frustrated player making a frustrated play. Sometimes guys do things emotionally when they feel something in the heat of the game. I'm not going to assassinate LaMelo Ball's character because of that one play, but it was undeniably a dirty play, and he probably should have been ejected. I am happy he's not suspended for this next game, but yeah, that is what it was what it was. And LaMelo Ball just with the most LaMelo Ball game possible. Ends up with 30 points, 10 assists, plays 40 minutes, and the threes were bad. And some of them were bad shot selection. Some of them he just missed. He's a funny player where it seems like he's more comfortable taking difficult shots sometimes. Some people say he played very poorly. I don't believe that. He almost lost them the game with his horrible turnover and then foul of Tyler Hero. But then he ends up coming back and blown by Jaime Jaquez, which was just poor defense from Miami. And, we'll get into Miami in a second. But that's just LaMelo Ball. He gives and he takes. But at the end of the day, I thought he played well. I thought he had a good game because they don't have a shot without LaMelo Ball. And I think the frustrating thing with him sometimes is you see him take these circusy shots, but when he just plays the right way, the results are solid. And I think nothing was more symbolic of that. I believe at some point he made a deep three, one of his 2 threes that he made, and then he comes back next possession, takes a terrible three, skims the rim, and then that's a shot he can take anytime. Listen, LaMelo Ball, we know he has incredible range, but teams are not going to guard him from 3 steps inside the logo. That's just not going to happen. Or 3 steps inside half court, I should say. So he could have gotten that shot again the next play, but instead runs a pick and roll, I believe hits Miles Bridges on a baseline cut. So he can come back to baseline and play the right way. It's just a matter of, is he going to be able to hold himself in check? We'll see. I'm really excited for tonight's game. I hope they win because the vibes with Orlando are just terrible. So still more Charlotte basketball to come. We could talk about Miami real quick because their season is over, and it was a pretty good season for Miami, all things considered. I mean, usually 43 wins is good enough in the East to get you at least in the top 8. This year it wasn't. They have questions going into this season, like just what are their roster moves? I don't have their cap sheet in front of me. They've obviously made some nice things happen along the fringes. The Normal Powell move proved to be good, although, yeah, he only played 19 minutes this game. Wow, I didn't realize he played that few. But they have a lot of guys that are just kind of pretty good at certain skills. They obviously don't have a superstar. They need help defensively. I like Davion Mitchell. He played 48 minutes this game, which is crazy. Is that your long-term starting point guard? Maybe it is. I mean, if he plays like he did last game, then it could be. But just questions about Miami because now they've missed the playoffs now. This is their first time missing the playoffs since, I believe, 2019. The first time this decade. Based on the way I'm thinking about it. So it's a new era in Heat basketball, maybe, but I don't know. They seem pretty hesitant to actually kind of sell off pieces, which makes sense. Is Tyler Hero on this team next year? Probably, but questions with Miami as they go into the offseason without a playoff berth. So, fun game there. Let's talk about the second game of the first night. Portland, Phoenix. Denny Avdia, he is the story of the game. 41 points, 12 assists. Just did whatever he wanted against this Phoenix defense, especially going to the basket, obviously. He took 13 free throws. It's been the Denny thing all season. I'm happy that he was able to do it in a big spot because it's been an issue with him injury-wise. He had the back stuff that kind of kept him in and out of the lineup. But came through absolutely giant in this game and carried them to a win. Drew Holiday gave them a good game as well, scoring 21 points. He made 4 3-pointers. Even from the beginning of the game, I felt like Drew had a nice pep in his step, so that's good to see for them. And Phoenix's issues kind of came to light here, where defensively they give it their all, but the rim protection just isn't there. People are getting upset with the Goodwin guarding Denny thing. Like they're saying it should have been Dylan Brooks. I get that. I get that. But to me, it kind of looked like Denny was getting past his defender, regardless of who was on the other side, whether it was in transition, whether it was on a switch and a pick and roll. and he was just the best athlete on the court. And that's okay to not have elite perimeter athletes if you have some protection behind, but Phoenix doesn't really have that either. Mark Williams, 22 minutes, didn't really make too much of an impact for me. And then Oso Ighodaro, again, not too much of an impact. 3 points, only 1 rebound in 23 minutes. Devin Booker was disappointing this game, and I'm pro Booker. I like Booker. I think he's a little underrated, but I think this is part of the issue you run into sometimes when you rely so much on Booker to be your scorer and playmaker, because Booker's great, but he's not Luka Doncic, he's not Anthony Edwards in terms of the way he commands on-ball attention, because he's not the same playmaker as Luka Doncic, and he's not the same athlete as Anthony Edwards. Now, don't get me wrong, Devin Booker is fully capable of scoring 45 points in a playoff game single-handedly. We've seen him do it before. But when he has a game like this, he only gets up 2 3-pointers, and that's part of a systematic issue with Phoenix because they just don't have a lot of playmaking on the court. Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks, and Devin Booker, those are their 3 ball handlers, and none of them are pass first guys or even pass second guys. They're pass third guys. So that's part of the problem with Booker not being able to get his threes off, and he's not the same quick twitch 3-point hunter that some other on-ball guys are. So, you look at Booker's stat line, only 2 3-pointers attempted and then only 4 assists, and he has the ball a ton. You're going to have issues offensively. And as a team, they only get up 25 threes, only make 9, compared to Portland, who gets up 47 threes and makes 17. So that's an issue. Portland's going on. They're going to play San Antonio. I'll talk about that series in a little bit. Phoenix, they have another game to play. They are going to be playing Golden State tonight. Very excited for that, even though I expect either of these teams to get wiped by Oklahoma City. Devin Booker, Stephen Curry, winner go home. Should be fun. So, looking forward to that game. In the East, Orlando and Philly. And the roller coaster of doom continues for Orlando. 34 points from Desmond Bane, but besides that, just not good. Just not good. Paolo Banchero, 6 turnovers, 4 assists. That's not even talking about the putrid shooting. Franz Wagner doesn't look 100%, but even him, not looking to really shoot the ball. 0 for 2 from 3. So that's 0 for 7 from 3 between Paolo and Franz. And then you just look at the rest of the lineup, and nobody else was really in a rhythm. And nobody's been in a rhythm for this team all season. They look stuck in mud on offense. Defensively, they look mediocre. They, at times, can ratchet up the physicality, but kind of similar to Orlando, they don't have, similar to Phoenix, they don't have a ton of rim protection. Wendell Carter was very underwhelming, despite having 11 rebounds, just not making too much of an impact on either end. And for Philly, they get into the playoffs, despite no Embiid. Big game for Maxey, 31 points, 6 assists. He was the best player on the floor, wasn't even close. The biggest matchup issue, a nice game from VJ Edgecombe. And Philly, although we'll see how it goes against Boston, especially with likely no Embiid, it's tough with the Embiid thing. But they seem to know who they are, and they have their issues. They have their issues defensively, offensively. It's just a lot on Maxey. But they have an identity, something that Orlando doesn't even have a semblance of. Orlando's identity is maybe we will make some tough shots tonight. Other than that, there's not a whole lot going on offense. So I'll save the Orlando post-mortem for the time when they actually get eliminated, because they have another game tonight against Charlotte. Should be fun, although the vibes in Orlando are just terrible. It's kind of hard to even imagine them beating Charlotte, but it's not like Orlando talent-wise is much worse. I mean, this was a team that some people thought could even win the East. I mean, most people didn't say that, but when they made the Bane move, they figured they would be near the top. Nobody thought they would be playing one game to try to get the 8th seed. So here we are. Here we are with Orlando. But good for Philly, making the playoffs. Ooh, in the final game of the play-in round one, I guess. Warriors Clippers. Just a brutal loss for the Clippers. And again, the best case scenario for the Clippers or the Warriors was going to be playing the Thunder, which I don't think either team had much of a shot. But still, if you're the Los Angeles Clippers, you don't want to miss the playoffs. You want to make the playoffs. You don't want to give your lottery pick to the Thunder. You want to play some competitive games where you get some energy in the Intuit Dome, even though you're probably going to lose in 5 at the most, but it's still something you want. And they're up double digits in the fourth. They're up, I think, 9 with like 4 minutes left. They got a pretty solid offensive game out of Darius Garland. Ben Mathurin is making every three he puts up. But at the end of the day, Curry just decimated this team. Not only Curry, Al Horford, Kristaps Porzingis, and Kawhi Leonard. Just not a good game. Not a good game from Kawhi Leonard. Sure, he scores 21 points, but he only makes 1 of 6 of his three-pointers. 5 turnovers, 3 assists. That's always what I'm going to be looking at with these superstars. Unless they have an ultra scoring game, which they could. I mean, if Kawhi Leonard scored 40, I wouldn't care as much about his assist to turnovers. But if you're only going to give me 21 and you have more turnovers than assists, that tells me you're just not seeing the floor well. And he wasn't seeing the floor well. He was getting doubled on every single screen and turning it over off of the double, or just making clunky reads and not smooth plays. And other than that, Draymond Green was kind of having his way with him. And props to Draymond Green. Props to the Golden State Warriors. It was a fun game just to see this out of the Warriors. You know, we know that the Warriors' heyday is not here anymore. This is a different era. But to see that from Stephen Curry, 35 points, 12 for 23, it shows that, I mean, in my opinion, he's still one of the 5 best players in the league. And when the team is able to support him like this is what can happen. Now, defensively, they're still going to have their issues. They still don't have any rim protection. And even on the perimeter, you know, you're relying a lot on Guy Santos or Brandon Pajemski defensively. Offensively, they played really well last game. I mean, the whole team played well. 57% from the field from Golden State is just crazy. It's crazy. They're not good enough for that to happen if you're LA. But the Clippers, they struggle defensively as well, and they've been playing without a center. I mean, Brook Lopez, 37 minutes, like those days probably should be over after this. They're giving up threes to Al Horford. They have no idea what to do with Steph Curry in the pick and roll or off ball screens. He's getting open, and then when he's not getting open, they're just over helping, and lanes are opening up for Guy Santos. Lanes are opening up for Brandon Pajemski. It's a tough way for the Clippers to end, and we know that when they made the Darius Garland trade, sending off James Harden, and then also the Zubats trade, which brought them in Ben Mathurin, they were thinking a little bit more of the future, and that's okay. I get that. I thought those were good trades, but for it to end this way is disheartening, especially with the Kawhi Leonard thing, because you would have liked to see Kawhi Leonard at least get a crack at it in the playoffs. And the Kawhi Leonard signing, it happens, I mean, this summer. It'll end up being 7 years ago, right after he won the title in 2019. And they missed the playoffs this year. Last year they lost in the first round. 2024 was a disaster, lost in the first round. I mean, they haven't made much of a dent in the league. Their best year was that 2021 season when obviously Kawhi was out for most of the playoff games. I mean, he was playing great basketball. They had a chance to win the title that year, but they didn't. So it's just disappointing for the Clippers. I guess it could have been worse. When they were 6-21, you thought maybe they would be one of the worst teams in the league. They weren't that. But just another year of Clippers basketball where it's over before May. Get used to it, Clipper fans. Golden State Phoenix tonight. Okay, so those are the initial playing games. It's been a lot of fun. Tonight, Charlotte, Orlando, Golden State, Phoenix. I'll just make my picks real quick, I guess. I'll go with what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping for Charlotte and Golden State Phoenix. I do think Phoenix is a little bit of a better team, but I can't say by much. So by that logic, let's just go Golden State. I'd love to see Stephen Curry with one more shot. Not to win, but, to have some cool games. Okay. So I'm just going to talk briefly about each of the series. Nothing too in-depth. More of I'd like to be able to talk about the games after the fact. But I'll just go in order of the way in which they were being played. So Saturday, it gets tipped off with Toronto-Cleveland. I'd say most people are expecting Cleveland to win relatively easily. I would say so too. I think this is a good opportunity for Cleveland to get some kinks out and work the lineups that they want to work on throughout the rest of the playoffs. But Toronto's not a walkover. They have a lot of physicality defensively. I'd say the matchup for me that I'm most interested in is I want to see what the Harden pick and roll looks like with those big men. It's been disjointed in the regular season, as regular seasons always are. You never know what kind of teams you're playing on a day-to-day. But this will be a good opportunity to see, because we know what Donovan Mitchell's going to give you. We know that offensively, sure, he's not always going to play great, but we know he can kind of get his looks. I think the bigger wild card is how is Harden going to work with those big men, and what rhythm does he find with Mobley and Allen in this series? And Toronto has different defenders they can throw at Cleveland. Scrappy guys like Jamal Shed, and then obviously Scotty Barnes is switchable. Colin Murray-Boyles, he can give you different issues, whether he's guarding a small or a big. So that'll be the matchup for me to watch. For my Toronto boys, I hope RJ and Quick put on a nice little show. It'll be cool to see them in the playoffs after they've been out of it for a little while. I'm going to pick Cleveland in 5, though. I think that makes sense. All right, Minnesota-Denver. Probably the most appeal of any first-round series. These teams have history. These teams have great players. Nikola Jokic and Anthony Edwards, I'd say two of the, Jokic I'd still say is the best player in the league, although we'll see. Obviously, Shea and Wemby are in the conversation now. Ant's right up there, around top 5 in the league. This is going to be a banger of a series. It should be, at least. So many matchups to talk about. So many subplots. Who's going to step up here? X factors. Julius Randle is going to be... This is a big series for his career. And I feel bad for Julius because I feel like we always say this about them. I feel like the basketball masses are ready to write off Julius. But Julius has proved that he can be a very good playoff player. He's a great player. Not like a Hall of Fame great player, but he's a really good player that can contribute to winning basketball. Good enough that made the Minnesota front office want to give him $100 million, which seemed worthy. Last year, they went to the conference finals with him. This is just going to be a bear of a matchup, and I'm interested to see how Minnesota goes at Denver. We know in the past they'd liked to use Gobert as a roamer and not give him the direct matchup on Jokic. Will they do that again? I'm not sure. How is Denver going to guard Anthony Edwards in ball screens? Because last time Minnesota beat Denver in that ridiculous Game 7 back in 2024, and they came back from, I believe, down 18 in Game 7 in the second round. Anthony Edwards, he started getting a rhythm, and it started getting to the point where Denver was they got out of answers. Now, a big part of that game also is Denver just kind of stopped hitting shots. That's another big thing. The shooting X factors are always part of this. So for Denver, like Christian Brown, we know you're going to get 3-point shots. Are you going to make them? Minnesota, Julius Randle, Jaden McDaniels, we know you're going to get 3-point shots. Are you going to make them? So shooting variance, and I shouldn't even say variance, but just kind of how these players that the other defenses, they have to give up something, and are those guys going to make them pay? Will be a big part of these series. So, in terms of a pick, let me go Denver in 7. This baby deserves to go all the way. Hawks and Knicks. My Knicks. This will be a fun series, and Atlanta's been just an interesting team all season. Obviously, the Trae Young trade happens, and then they don't miss a beat. They actually get better, and there's a lot of good things happening with this Atlanta team. They are cohesive. They share the ball. Quinn seems to really enjoy coaching this team. It's the kind of team he probably always wanted. They remind me a little bit of how they used to play in Utah. It's just versatile players, nobody doing more than they're supposed to, an unselfishness, a defensive mindset for sure. It'll be interesting to see how they attack this New York offense. Obviously, Dyson Daniels kind of anchors that defense, and I'm sure he will be given the Jalen Brunson assignment. So, how does New York go with that? How do they use Cat in the ball screens? Is Mikal Bridges going to play well? I hope he does. For Atlanta, Nickeil Alexander-Walker has had a huge season. How is he able to continue his play? In terms of matchups, there's a lot going on here. I am wondering if maybe New York can make this Atlanta defense look a little weaker, though, than we had thought in the past. Because I'm getting similar vibes this series to Detroit in New York last year. But, with an up-and-coming team, with some high-end talent for sure. Jalen Johnson's had a hell of a year, a worthy all-star. He's a matchup problem. I'd assume OG Anunoby's going to get the assignment on him. But I'm not sure if Atlanta has the same defensive grit that a team like Detroit had last year. So I'd say the way that New York makes this series easier is if Atlanta just struggles to stop them. But there's also no reason to think that New York is just going to roll over a team offensively, because we know that although they have incredible talent, cohesively it doesn't always work. So it should be fun. It should be fun. I'm excited for this series. I'm going to pick the Knicks in 6. Feels right. Rockets, Lakers. A lot of injuries with the Lakers. Just 2 injuries. Luka Doncic, Austin Reeves. Are they playing? Doesn't seem like it, which is a bummer. But here we are. One last chance for LeBron James to put on the Superman cape. It would be awesome to see. Part of me is excited to see LeBron try this. I don't have much expectation. And quite frankly, if Houston's not able to kind of grind this Lakers team down with their defense, that's concerning, because the Lakers just don't have a ton of offensive talent outside of when they are missing those 2 guys, which makes sense. Most teams, when they're missing their top 2 scorers, are going to struggle mightily. The Lakers are lucky that they have a guy in LeBron James who might be the greatest player of all time, and although he's 42, is still able to control an offense in a way that most players in the league still can't do. So, can the Lakers make it interesting? Sure. Am I expecting it to be interesting? Not really. It wouldn't surprise me if Houston wins most of these games kind of easily. I hope not. I hope we get some good matchups. If the Lakers got a decent draw here, because I do think the Rockets, they have questions of their own, and at any given 5-minute stretch, they could just fall apart offensively. They could stop passing the ball. KD can turn it over 3 times in a row. They could miss every jumper. Şengün could start flopping and flailing. So that can all happen, but talent-wise, this shouldn't be too much of an issue. I'm assuming that Doncic and Reeves are out. We'll get more information, obviously, as the series goes. But right now, I'm going to sit here and take Rockets in 5. Sixers, Celtics. More injury issue with this one. Embiid, appendicitis, of course. Why not? Appendicitis for Embiid. Dude cannot catch a break. It'll be fun to get the Philly-Boston vibes going. The Eastern Conference Blue Buds, but not expecting a whole lot from Philly here. I think if they had Embiid, this would be an incredibly interesting series, because Boston's weakness, even though they've done a really good job masking it this year, it's still the front court depth, size in general. Keita's had a great year, but I would have been really interested to see how they went at Joel Embiid defensively. Boston just seems like they have too much size, too much defense, too much shooting, too much passing. I'm going to take Boston in 5. Part of me wants to take a sweep, but I'm going to go 5. And then the Thunder and Pistons, obviously we don't know who they are playing yet. The Thunder will play either the Suns or the Warriors. I'm going to take the Thunder to sweep. I don't care who they're playing. The Pistons, I really hope they're playing Charlotte, because we know there's the bad blood there. Clash of styles. That would be really fun. I'm not going to pick this series because I don't know what's going to happen yet. I guess I'll put on record. If the Pistons play the Magic, I'll do Pistons in 5. If the Pistons play the Hornets, I would be looking forward to that. I would say Pistons in 6. And then Spurs Blazers, stylistically another really interesting matchup because Wembanyama, who he's a headline of this playoffs, the Wembanyama playoff debut, can't wait for that. One of the highest talent players we've ever seen in this game. I mean, but without even the accomplishments haven't come yet, obviously, because he hasn't played enough. But just in terms of who he is as a player, we've never seen anything like this. Can't wait to see him in the postseason. And it's going to be really interesting to see a Portland team that wants to, battery ram it into the paint and then possibly kick it out for threes. Denny Avda, he loves just getting into the teeth of the defense. And nobody welcomes guys coming into the teeth of the defense more than Victor Wembanyama and his gang of wings. So it's a tall order for Portland. I'm going to go Spurs in 5, but can't wait to watch this one as well. So a lot of great series, a lot of great games that already happened. Appreciate everybody for watching and looking forward to talking more hoops as we get into the playoffs.